Dope. Dope, dope, dope. And we're just about closed on official market time. What up? Welcome back to For Entertainment Purposes Only. It is March 4th, 2025, and the trade wars have officially begun. And let's just look before we even get into the trade wars, though. Let's just talk about crypto's crazy ass weekend that was going on. Trump decided that he needed to make a U.S. crypto reserve, strategic reserve. It will include Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, making the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. Which drew a lot of criticism because basically the whole sale of Bitcoin and crypto was that it wasn't supposed to be regulated. So by making a strategic government fund, isn't that regulating it? Doesn't that defeat the whole point of crypto? I don't know. But entertaining nonetheless, which is why we're talking about it. He got a lot of random people that you wouldn't think would be against it or that were against it. The CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, the richest man with crypto in America with $9.6 billion worth of it, said all you really need is just Bitcoin to succeed gold, which is an interesting take. You could argue that, like, in previous years and iterations, whenever the stock market freaks out, gold is supposed to act as a hedge. So like gold goes up when everything else goes down, but Bitcoin has been doing that, not gold lately. So you could argue that that is correct. But also when Bitcoin moves, all of crypto moves. So I don't see why you would just need Bitcoin. I would guess that's mostly tied into what he chose as his cryptocurrency of choice. Planeteer's co-founder said that it's wrong to tax me for crypto bro schemes. And that's my take too. It's not the proper principal role of government to finance a crypto reserve. Like, if the whole point is to be decentralized, adding a crypto reserve centralizes it. So that doesn't make much sense. And then and then a guy from Trump's crypto czar, David Sachs, said that it's a Trump pump and an insane grift. So, but what ended up happening was actually pretty cool. If we take a look at the 5-day, I already did everything, but so back on Friday, can't really see because of my face, but right here on Friday, it hit an all-time low of 78,000, and by all-time low I mean this year. 78,000 is still super high historically for Bitcoin, but we got the news that the tariffs were actually going to be put in place. Everything dropped. Bitcoin hit 78,000, and then the weekend hit, and everybody was just kind of spooked right around this 85,000 level for a very long time. And then right here on Sunday, pretty early in the morning, I can't really tell this time. This time is, I think it was probably noon, just before noon. But Trump said crypto reserve. Our bull boy went all the way up. It tried to break that 100,000 again, couldn't quite do it. It got stuck at 95. And then the spooky boy went sideways until we hit the Monday open, where everyone was reminded tariffs are about to hit all day long. Tariffs, 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 tariffs. And then today hit, we decided we're not going to listen to any of it, and we went straight back up to 88,000. And now at the end of the day, we just watched SPY break down, and it looks like it looks like Bitcoin wants to chill at 85,000 for a while. Ultimately, is where I landed. Looking at it throughout the day today. So yeah, crypto been having a wild ride, but the big news is that the trade wars have officially started. The trade war started at midnight this morning, and it imposes 25% taxes or tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports. Although there's several discrepancies with these tariffs. One, the first discrepancy being that it's only 10% on Canadian energy, which means that it's only a 10% tariff on oil being shipped to America, which is a big deal because Canadian oil is like 60% of America's oil imports. So, or is it? I'm not even sure if it's imports. It's just 60% of American oil is Canadian. I don't think America provides that much oil to itself. And then he also doubled the tariff on Chinese goods to 20%. That's also got a discrepancy on it because it's only applied to goods over $800. So Temu and Alibaba and products like that will still be shipped in without getting that huge tariff up. And then tariffs came in the opposite way. China is 15% tariffs, mostly on our food exports, which is our main export. Canada said that they're ready for more than 100 billion tariffs on American goods over the next 21 days. Mexico will respond. She has not yet. Okay. The delay might indicate that Mexico still hopes to stop this. And then the top U.S. imports here from Mexico, cars and trucks. You have to remember that Ford and GM and basically all of our semi-trucks are all manufactured in Mexico. So auto parts all in Mexico. And as we just said, the top 10 imports from Canada, pretty much all of it is oil. But this is only 10%, so it's not as bad as everything else. But pretty much all of our cars and trucks come from Mexico and Canada. So that's going to be really weird. And we have a graphic. I got a graphic that'll show us more of an explanation on this too. So, but the trade wars have officially begun, and everybody is at each other's throats, basically. And you can really look at this right now as a North American trade war than anything. For whatever reason, like, I guess this is a part of the border securing, is just Mexico and Canada, North American border, and then like China. Always got to do China. Why not? But then I think it's important to reflect on what exactly are tariffs and how they're paid. So it's I just Googled how exactly are tariffs paid, and this is where the nuance of all this and the entertainment comes from, I think. The importer pays the tariff when goods are cleared through customs, but also notice the discrepancy as this is described, right? National Customs Authority country collects the tariffs. Accepted payment methods include bank account, PayPal, and debit or credit card. Which I think is weird, where it's like you show up and like say TSM is like, I got, $1 billion worth of GPUs for NVIDIA, and they're like, yeah, you need to give us $200 million and you can pay us through PayPal. I think that's just AI failing there a little bit. Who pays the tariff? Falls on the importer, foreign businesses, or the U.S. consumers. Foreign businesses may lower their prices to absorb some of the tariffs. U.S. businesses may raise their prices to pass on the tariffs. So that's why this is controversial, really, is that how are businesses going to respond to this? And the general take of tariffs is that in order to offset the extra taxes, the businesses add an extra cost to offset that, right? So if China is getting taxed 20% more to import stuff, that means they're going, in theory, that means they're going to raise their prices by 20%. So we'll take the NVIDIA example again, right? NVIDIA doesn't make any of their graphics card. They have Taiwan Semiconductors do it. So Taiwan ships them $1 billion worth of graphics cards. And at the border, they go, okay, well, do I just eat this 20%? Because I'm already like bare minimum cost here. I'm not going to eat this 20%. I'm going to raise raise my prices 20%. So your $2,000 graphics card is an extra 20%. So it's $2,400 now. NVIDIA, being the one that is buying it from TSM, pays them $2,400 instead of the $2,000 they told everybody. They aren't going to eat that cost either. So then they pass that on, and now it's and they probably still want to make money. More than likely, at the end of it all, it's $2,500 by the time you get your graphics card from NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't care as much because their biggest consumers are the other tech giants of the world. They just want more compute for their AI. So Microsoft, Facebook, Elon Musk X is going to buy these graphics cards, and they don't really care how much they're going to pay. But at the end of the day, if you want to upgrade your computer, you're paying 20% more with these tariffs. At least that's the theory. Now, the theory of why to do it is that it's a source of government revenue, and it ultimately is a driver to bring production back to the United States, is the overall goal. And it can be used as a tool for foreign policy, sure. But the overall idea being that if it's more expensive to import these things, then you're going to drive all of the production back. So that when we look at that previous graphic of, all of our cars and trucks are made in Mexico and Canada, if GM and Ford don't want to pay 20% extra every time something crosses the border, they're going to have to bring manufacturing back to America, which brings in another problem of, okay, is 20% even enough to offset the enormous amount of costs that would be remaking manufacturing plants in America, rehiring American workers? There's going to be a lot of cost accounting involved with that whole entire idea, and they could very well come back and say it's actually cheaper to just pay the tariff like 3 different ways, as we'll see shortly. Well, the cost accounting nerds are just going to be like, you know what? It's actually cheaper to pay 20% on both sides of everything than to actually make a manufacturing plant in America, and then on top of that, hire American workers. So we'll just keep paying this tariff. And then the real entertainment comes in, is that if everybody collectively does their cost accounting and they say, well, we've done the cost accounting and it's actually cheaper to just eat that, well, then you're on this fence of like, if you're Donald Trump, you're going to say, well, then if the goal is to bring American manufacturing back to America, they did the accounting, and it's still not 20% tariffs still aren't enough. Well, then you raise it more. So that's the entertainment portion of all this right now, is how will this work out really? And is it good or bad? We'll find out, because we'll have to find out. There's also BBC has a really good article. Basically everything I just said, right? He says they'll boot the other part is that when you're collecting tax revenue on all of your imports, his theory is that it will offset needing to tax the American people. I think no matter what Americans are paying more money. So hopefully, if you're paying 20% more for everything, hopefully you pay less taxes at the end of it, because then it gets super freaking expensive to live. And then they have a very good graphic down here. There's steel imports. It's steel and aluminum. I thought America made a lot of aluminum in house, but we rely on Canada for a lot of steel. So this is why the car companies are an interesting thing. So, and this is what I was just saying, is that we do make a lot of aluminum in house, and then we bring everything up to Canada to do some fine tuning. Then we send it down to Mexico to do some fine tuning and assemble it, and that's just one small piece of the manufacturing puzzle. But so the tariffs get paid once through here and again through here because Canada has retaliated, and then Mexico hasn't retaliated yet, but then back through here. So before it even gets put into a car engine in Michigan, they're taxed 3 times. So the only way to offset that is to make cars more expensive. And here's like another great graphic here. Delivery trucks all come from Mexico. Insulated wire, I was not ready for this one. Insulated wire is honestly in everything. I don't even know what stock company to get there. Computers, surprisingly a lot from Mexico. I was very, very amazed on that. As a matter of fact, Samsung. Okay. Samsung ships all their phones from Mexico. That makes sense. But ultimately, that's why that's what is being told to us on why we're playing this tariff war game, right? Is that all of these big, huge graphics, in theory, all these companies should return for not wanting to pay this 20% tax, 25% tax. All these companies should return their production back to America, but you have to do the cost accounting. Is it actually worth it to avoid the 25%, the 20% taxes versus building manufacturing plants and hiring American workers? That tariff number might need to go up before it is worth it to bring production back to America, which is what, and at the end of the day, really, the consumers are the ones that lose here, because we end up paying and offsetting these costs, even though in theory, all the importers could lower costs. The whole point of markets is to be efficient, and you can't get costs any lower. That's why we're a global market leader. We just have global markets. It's supply and demand, product specialization. It's what our economies have been doing for the last 80 years, is specializing. So now we're just today marks the day where we're done with countries specializing, and we're trying to bring everything back to America, is the overall goal. But and then in theory, so even if all this works and production comes back to America, now your tax levels have plummeted because you've gotten rid of the income tax because of your tariffs. And then on top of that, now all the production is back in America. There's no income tax. So now there's really no source of revenue for the federal government at all if this works, which is even crazier. Well, the UK and Europe have to pay tariffs, and I'm pretty sure the poly market on this is like a 90% positive rate here. Polymarket's got a 78% chance on the European Union. If we consider Taiwan a separate country than China, that's really good for us because then our chips aren't going to go way higher. So I hope that's true. But yeah, the trade wars have started. And also, yeah, as soon as the week started and everyone was reminded that our trade wars were going into effect, Bitcoin lost all of its gains. And my spooky chart that I was showing you, spooky boy, into the bull run, and then bear boy just came right back in. We don't care, bull, and then just a little bit of turbulence right at the end there. But yeah, the markets have been doing very interesting things on reaction to this news. When we go back and look at our Friday opened right here, and it really wanted to stay flat. And then right here, we're just doing our entertainment purposes only. Right at 12:30 on Friday, Trump just announced, like, we are officially doing this. The tariffs are on, and for the whole time, from noon 30 to 2 o'clock, it was Bear City. And then everybody just said, you know what? I'm not gonna listen to any of this shit. I don't care. We knew about this. We are going to run this. And then the Bulls took over, straight to the top. And that's where we ended the week, right at the tippy top there. And then Monday started. And as soon as Monday started, everybody was reminded, oh my God, the tariffs are starting at midnight tonight. Oh my God, we're so sad. And then on once again, just like Friday at noon 30, Trump was like, dude, I'm not bluffing. I'm not bluffing. And then last 30 minutes of the day, again, don't care, not listening. The bears can go away. And then we're just going to quick rally. Just do a quick hop, skip, and a jump. Midnight happens. And then we come back in to another just bear. Just the bear doing bear things. And that was right up until like 10 o'clock today. And then everybody once again just decided, dude, I'm not leaving. Like the trade wars were a thing, and then last 30 minutes of the day, the bears show up again. But it was interesting that the way that this one ended, right? Because Friday, it was bearish all day into a huge rip. Monday, bearish all day into a huge rip. And now today was, see, like this is the level that we started at right here. Today was like struggling to get green all day long. And then we finally found some entertainment right here. And then the last 30 minutes, it sells off. A complete reversal from the trend that was going on the last 2 days. But like there is something going on these last 30 minutes that I have an ongoing theory that the last 30 minutes is where they kick retail out, and then because you ultimately can't trade options the last 30 minutes, no matter like if you're a retail investor. So as soon as they kick retail out, then the big boys come in right before their day is over, and they're like, dude, last 30 minutes, let's do whatever the hell we want. And what we want to do is the exact opposite of what retail does, because we're smarter than them and they're dumb and we're smart. And then they go do cocaine or whatever they do on Wall Street. So that was the last 3 days or something of just the market trying to react to the trade war. Overall, it's rough. I think we're down pretty bad. Last month we're down, well, it says 1.2, but we're down from our 610 high. That would be 3 or 4%. at a 576 close. So it's starting to correct. It's trying to price in these trade wars. Very entertaining for everybody involved, especially trying to figure out what the hell all this is going to do. Oh, it's a headache thinking of. And then there is the rumors of the GDP forecast from the Atlanta Fed coming out has just been abysmal. We were at the start of the year, we were at 2.8 GDP growth, which is a good thing. The gross domestic product is going up. So we were doing very, very well. And that's like perfect numbers. I think we shoot for like exactly 3%. So 2.8 growth was phenomenal. Then the Atlanta Fed revised it down to negative 1.5%, which was ridiculous. And then they revised it even further to negative 2.8% as of yesterday. The Atlanta Fed be crazy for this one, because that is a 100% drop would be 2.8 to 0%, where we started the month. But then they 100%ed it again. It's a 200% drop on GDP growth from the Atlanta Fed. Which in turn caused Elon Musk to say that he would just redo how they calculate GDP. Oh, Lutnick. Yeah, so they're just going. So this GDP print is so bad that they're just going to completely redo how they calculate GDP. Which why not? At this point, why not just do whatever you want? That's where we're at. And then on top of that, the chips are a very big deal to me, just because so much of the American market is tech heavy. So when we talk about all these chips and stuff, a big way that we were going to offset these tariffs is that the CHIPS Act, which came out in the Biden administration, but if you really look at the history here, it was kind of started by Trump, enacted by Biden. But ultimately, the CHIPS Act is just a huge government spending to try and get chip fabrication factories domestic. So they paid TSM and Intel to make a bunch of fabrication factories in Arizona. And as far as I can tell, now that the new administration is in and they're slashing budgets everywhere, Intel was going to have some factories ready to go by like June of this year, and now everything's being delayed. And now this is really killing us here, is that the CHIPS Act office, 40% of their staff is going to be fired. Hopefully that 40% is not important. It's only 60 people. 20 of them already said that they're done. 40 are probationary, who started within the last 2 years, which is weird because like it only started in the last 3. So it's not like there's a bunch of employees that weren't probationary on here. But getting manufacturing for chips is going to slow down because of this, which kind of sucks. So take it, leave it, but just to keep up with all of the manufacturing and the tariffs, that manufacturing chips in America was going to make it a lot better for tech companies to stay valuable. And now this is being delayed, so it's going to hurt them a lot. Moving on, Target and Best Buy had their earnings this morning. It was they were kind of what we were looking at for retail sentiment for the week, and Best Buy was actually probably the first full blown company that said the tariff price hike is going to hurt, and they got bodied 15% because of it. They might have recovered by the end of it here. Let's see. Nope. They got destroyed. Down 13%. But Target and Best Buy both warned of tariff price hikes. I think Target got out easier than Best Buy. Yeah. Target beat on a lot of things. They were down pretty bad 10:30, 11 o'clock, but they got back to even by the end of it with everybody else. So the main retailers that we were looking at kind of warned as we figured they would from our chat on Friday about, or was it Saturday? Either way, they performed as expected. They were warning, like Walmart, that the tariff price hikes are going to hurt, and they did. Our meme stock that released ASTS that released their business update more than earnings last night actually did very well. Very entertaining to watch ASTS rally 10% today. At times it was 20%. So they're looking up to be back on the up and up here. Their all-time high. They're chasing that all-time high 31. ASTS being the space mobile company. They have deals with Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile to provide satellite internet data, which is not a thing right now, to your phone. Narrower than expected fourth quarter loss. Sure. Yeah, they were up almost 20%. ASTS that's a cool company. Very cool. Love to see the meme companies do well. On the docket for the upcoming week, now that we've finally gotten over the day that is the start of the trade wars, and it was pretty boring. Everybody was calling for the end of the world. And, we're down 1%, but for a moment we were green. So I feel like it's really hard to price this in for reasons we've discussed. It's hard to figure out how people are going to react to tariffs. It's hard to figure out lots of different things here. And really only time will tell once it's all said and done. Because we're committed to this idea. And that's really what the market's been trying to price in the last 5 days, is like, now that we're committed to this idea that tariffs are happening, how does it go from here? Looks like down. Entertainment downwards. What else we got going on this week? CrowdStrike is a meme. I would consider it a meme stock worth looking at. And we're actually far enough into close where we could check that out. Let's just... And they got bodied. So if we look at that, wow. So right here, there was a huge outage of services across the country, and it was from a CrowdStrike glitch. So they lost, 50% of their 369, 370 divided by 2. 185. So they lost like 40% of their market share in a span of a week. And then they came back and said, actually, our services are better than ever. Boom. They rallied to 450 as of February. And now that they just reported earnings, they came in lackluster. Totally. What did they miss? Let's find out. Lots of positives, little negatives. Oh, they lost a pile of money. Fair enough. They should lose a pile of money. CrowdStrike came through, so there was the meme for today after hours. I'm very excited for tomorrow after hours. Marvel and Rigetti. We were talking about this on Saturday that Rigetti is a quantum computer company, and it's going to be interesting to see if they announce a partnership with Microsoft, because Microsoft just unveiled a new type of quantum chip rather. So, as always, we go to Fireship because he's the only one you really need when you're looking at anything anything tech related. He'll tell it to you exactly how
Out
it
of
is.
nowhere, Microsoft just announced an impossible new quantum computing chip named Majorana 1. But it's not your average quantum chip. They claim to have created an entirely new state of matter. So now we have solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and the new kid on the block, the topo computer, or topological supercomputer.
It is entirely a new state of matter.
If it turns out not to be your typical Microsoft BS, and that's a big if, it could be a breakthrough on par with the transistor. The humble transistor allowed computers to scale up to millions of bits, and the topo computer could be the technology that allows us to scale up to millions of qubits. Without exaggeration, that would make computers billions of times faster than current tech, allowing us to do incredible things like develop new medicines, simulate entire worlds of AI girlfriends, and run Microsoft Windows updates in seconds instead of hours. In today's video, we'll look at the crazy science behind Microsoft's Majorana 1 chip and find out if it'll finally make quantum computers not suck so much. It is February 21st, 2025.
So if Rigetti is on the ball here, they should at least mention this, and that could be pretty outright. And they're trending down just because this was this month or so was all Google saying that they made leaps and bounds with their quantum tech, and then right here was everybody saying no, you didn't. And now maybe they did, and right here I'm guessing for entertainment purposes that this Microsoft announcement has been sliding under the radar until Rigetti says something in their earnings call. So that should be very entertaining on a Thursday afternoon. Meme stocks, ASTS, Rigetti. Okay, so Thursday and Friday are going to be big for the rest of the week. Thursday after close, we have AVGO, which is Broadcom. They make a shoot pile of electronic stuff, but then more importantly is Costco. So with Target, Best Buy, and Walmart all saying that these tariffs are going to do a lot more cost to the consumer, Costco's weigh in on that is going to be super big. Maybe Costco has a supply chain that's unaffected and they rally hard, but Costco will probably say the same thing. And that goes into Friday when Jerome Powell, is going to talk at noon 30 Central. So I could foresee our entertainment being like, we probably trade, like, if we're gonna make up some random shenanigans. Like I'd say we kind of trade like that probably. Kind of in the zone from like five, mid 570s to mid 580s. And then J Powell will just do some craziness. I think Friday is going to be brutal, but we're going to go pretty much sideways until then. That is some technical analysis. That is entertainment. So yeah, that's really what we're looking for the upcoming week here. There's going to be a couple of interesting earnings that come out tomorrow. Overall, though, it's just going to be kind of reactionary and flat until we hear from J Powell on Friday. And but if J Powell is anything like his buddies at the Atlanta Fed, he's not going to say anything that's good, and that's going to be rough. And there's not really anything where any Macy's and Costco basically are going to say the same thing. Cracker Barrel. Is there going to be a big food company that says anything before Cracker Barrel? No, so Cracker Barrel might set a tone too for how the food industry is going to look at this upcoming year. That would actually be an interesting earnings just to see how the food industry thinks of tariffs, if they think anything at all of tariffs. Pretty sure most food is domestic as far as proteins go. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Well, let's just look at what. Okay, so at 12:30, which is 11:30 Central, Jay Powell will give an economic outlook speech. Oh, and we can't forget that the Beige Book drops tomorrow at 2. Beige Book being the notes on how the Federal Reserve was talking the last time they met. So once again, if the Atlanta Fed revising their GDP estimate from 2.8% positive to 2.8% negative has anything to do with how this Beige Book's going to be looked at, that's probably going to be a pretty bad thing as well. But a lot of the times the Beige Book is not entertaining at all, and it's beige for a reason. Pretty boring stuff, but the J Powell and company talking about all of this is going to be a big deal on Friday. So yeah, and then we'll look at some memes before it's all said and done here. Classic. Are we doing the top? No. We just want hot. This is once again going back to the entertaining stocks that we like. This is really good for LI, XPEV. When Tesla's brand, because Tesla is ultimately an Elon Musk brand, sells $100 billion worth of cars, is worth like in its lifetime is worth $1 trillion. So most of that is just Elon Musk name, and it's falling pretty rapidly, and the brand recognition is failing around the world. So when that happens, it's less about shorting Tesla and more is who is going to take Tesla's place. My ongoing theory being that China EVs are going to do that. So we're looking at LI, other stuff like LI, XPEV, all those EVs in China. Seven hours ago. All right. MicroStrategy puts? Calls, really? Over the weekend, CNBC announced on Friday that this week the White House is hosting its first ever Bitcoin summit, and they're going to lay out the groundwork for a Bitcoin reserve, and Trump is going to speak about the future of crypto. The most obvious play is buy the rumor, sell the news going into this event. All Bitcoin holders have been waiting since the election to find out more about the Bitcoin reserve, and that's all they care about. MSTR has been meeting with Trump and the administration and will be one of the leaders in this effort. Now that the tariffs have finally hit, I believe MicroStrategy out of the money calls are an easy 50 bagger. It'll go back to the 300 level it had already hit yesterday and higher going into Friday's event. Positions are shares and 260, 280, and 300 weekly calls. Wow, that's ballsy, dude. That's entertainment.
Winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much, and I'll say no, it isn't. Please, too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much.
Good afternoon. Yep. Oh, Wall Street bets. So entertaining. Yeah. Well, we might do one tomorrow. Might see how everything goes. Might clear all the drawings. Oh. Boom. That's another FEPO.